Okay, well, later we'll read Ma's words about her own birth, which are amazing. But what we want to try to just consider in our minds, the mind can't really grasp it. But the more we kind of let ourselves try to imagine what's going on, the more awesome it is that Ma didn't take birth because of the accumulated karma of past births, like our destiny is. So we have to take birth. Our body is made according to our karma, according to the destiny we have to reap in this birth. Ma took birth at the longing of mankind. She said she is the Vyakta Rupa. That means the visible form, manifested form of the longing of mankind. That aspirants through the centuries were longing for a vision of truth, a portal, another portal to God, and that brought her into birth. And so on this day, we want to acknowledge that she came for all of us, each one of us, especially each one of us who are here, who have been called by Ma, because we're here in this satsang only because Ma has touched our hearts. So we want to offer our love and reverence to Ma. We're going to offer flower petals letter. We're going to read about her birth, and Pragya Halstrom in the Boston group and I are going to be co-hosting this. And so let's just kind of set our sails now, set our sankalp to offer our love and admiration for Ma, and our thanksgiving for her coming to bring her presence into the world, and that remaining presence, which will always stay with us, in her teachings and her blessing and her opening that portal to the higher worlds for us. Okay, Pragya, do you have something to say?
Jai Ma, welcome to everyone. This is such a thrill for us. I think this is my favorite day of the year, the favorite month really, because in India, we usually celebrate Ma's birth, Ma's coming in physical form to this world, starting with the solar birthday on April 30th and through her lunar birthday. So it's a month of celebration, but I feel particularly thrilled today to be here with all of you, to offer flowers to Ma. We'll be doing an arti at the end of our time together. So it's going to be just a very, very celebratory time. And we're going to begin with the opening mantras. This is just to set the auspiciousness of this day. The mantras begin, I bow to that Guru who pervades the indivisible form of the universe, who penetrates everything, be it mobile or immobile. He shows the goal, she shows the goal, which is that. And then it goes on to some verses that you have heard before, Twameva Mata, Chapita Twameva, and from there. Akanda Mandalakaram, Yaptam Yena Characharam, Tatpadam Darshitam Yena, Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha. Twameva Mata Chavita Twameva, Twameva Banduscha Saka Twameva, Twameva Vidya Travidam Twameva, Twameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Asato Matsatkamaya, Tamasoma Jyotir Kamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya, Abhiravirma Edi. Om Purnamata Purnamitam, Purnat Purnamudashate, Purnasya Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti, 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 Hari Om, Tat, Sat, Shri Shri Anandamayi Mata Ki Jai. So as Mangalanandaji was saying, the flow of our satsang will be from here. We'll sing a kirtan right now, one of our favorites, Hey Ma. And then we will have the story of Ma's birth, which Mangalananda will share with us. Then there'll be another kirtan, and we'll see two beautiful videos of Ma, each about 10 minutes long. And in between that, we'll hear Ma's words from her birthday celebration in 1978. Then we'll have a short meditation with a slideshow and some announcements, and then we'll get into the puja part of the program. We'll be offering rose petals to Ma at Ma's feet, and then finishing with the oddity, with the waving of the lights. So it promises to be really beautiful. So let's sing one of our favorite chants to Ma that describe all of her qualities. Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, Parameshwari. So she is full of bliss, Ananda, full of consciousness, Chaitanya, full of compassion, Karuna, and Parameshwari, she's the greatest goddess. So this is call and response. We hope you'll be singing along. I wish we could hear you, but we can hear you in our hearts. And I'm here with my dear friend Jimmy to play tabla for us today. Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, Parameshwari. Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, Parameshwari. Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, Parameshwari. Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, Parameshwari. Hey Ma, 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 Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, Parameshwari, Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Karunamayi, Parameshwari, Jai Ma.
Beautiful. Thank you, Pragyan. Now, we want to read about Ma's birth in her own words, which is perhaps a unique experience in the world that people remember the moment of the birth and tell us in their own words. We're reading from this very authentic document, which has been published very nicely by the Anandamayi archives in Delhi, called Mother Reveals Herself. And it's a document that our proto-devotee, you could say, Bhayaji, who was Jyotish Chandra Roy, we called him Bhayaji, older brother, who was considered Ma's one of earliest disciples and the most perfect. We all look to him for our model, to try to model our lives after him. And over his years of close contact with Ma, he wrote down many things that Ma said. And then because he wanted to make it really accurate, he, over a period of other years, he read it back to Ma whenever she would sit and listen to make sure it was either accurate or corrected by Ma. And then after he left his body, when he went with Ma and Bholanath and Didi to Kailash, and he left his body on the way back in Almora, then Didi, Gurupriya Didi, took the document and also went through and checked it all with Ma. So everything has been checked with Ma that it's correct, it's accurate what she said. So as I was saying earlier, Ma didn't take birth in the normal way at all. I mean, we have precedents in it in the history of the Christian church, in that the historical in church history, it says that the Virgin Mary was conceived by an overpouring of God's grace and then gave birth without losing her virginity. And her icons, they have 3 stars: virgin before, virgin during, virgin after birth. So that Jesus, just as at the resurrection, passed through the tomb, he passed through her womb, just miraculously, and didn't go through the birth canal. And so it appears this is the same way with Ma, because we know from one document we have that Didi Ma, we call Ma's mother Didi Ma. She was literally, she eventually took sannyas diksha and was called Swami Muktanandagiri, but we all called her Didi Ma. Didi Ma had one document where he said Ma was conceived when Ma's so-called father was away singing bhajans. Bipin Bihari Bhattacharya was away for a long time, wandering around with sadhus singing bhajans. And Didi Ma was going to the Tulsi Munch. Tulsi Munch is a little platform in the courtyard of all good Hindu households, and they offer a little evening light service to the Tulsi Devi. And so Didi Ma was doing the Tulsi Arati, and suddenly instead of the Tulsi plant, there was a radiant face of a goddess. And that goddess turned into this chakra, this spinning wheel, and entered into Didi Ma. And she was so powerful, she fell back unconscious. And then when she awoke, she realized she was with a child. And then all during her pregnancy, all these deities would just walk in the door and merge into her body and come out. It was very profound time of pregnancy. But now, so this is Ma talking to Baiji about her, I wouldn't say recollection, it was her vision of what her birth was about. And we see how supernatural it was. So Baiji says, another day while walking beside Ma, I happened to ask, how is it possible for someone to remember things about the time of one's birth as we understand it? Ma replied, the khyal to say everything does not come always, whatever comes. And then Ma continued, from the days of this body's childhood, Ma frequently refers to herself as this body. She doesn't even say I. From the days of this body's childhood to the time when she became a bride, whatever she has been relating to you, as well as whatever you have seen of her from the time that you have laid eyes upon her, she, meaning herself, has always been the same. Whatever action that takes place in this body occurs only to serve your collective needs. In other words, Ma does everything just for us. It is your longing to know that moves this body to talk. As you recall, now she's going to talk about the sacred thread ceremony. This is called the Yajna Pavit. It's for Ma also introduced it to girls too, but it's a coming of age thing at 12 years old where a boy goes through a ceremony. He's initiated. I've been through it myself. I was 45. I wasn't a boy, but you go to this long ceremony with a havan and everything, and your head is shaved, and you're given new clothes and the sacred thread, and then you appear very different. So she's relating her birth to that a boy is the same person before and after the ceremony, but he looks very different and has a different life. So these are Wa's words. She says, as you recall, at the time of a boy's sacred thread ceremony, he is said to be reborn and attain a second life, is it not? The mantra, the sutra, that's a sacred thread, and his new clothes together bring about a change in his outer appearance as well. Whereas here, Ma referring to herself, the emergence of a new body in the form of an infant was seen, but this is only in your perception. Kind of just let that sink in for a minute. In other words, Ma's talking about being this infinite consciousness that just looked down and saw that there was this little baby, and she was supposed to manifest through that. To her, there was no change in consciousness. She was still infinite, but she just managed to manifest in that little body. Whereas here, the emergence of a new body in the form of an infant was seen, but this is only in your perception. It is not possible for a person to grasp the essence of this knowledge without the grace of his guru or without sadhana, spiritual practice. Where is the ability? In any case, an analogy can never be perfect. You have to take whatever can be gleaned from it. So Baiji says, I asked her again, then how can we understand? Ma smilingly replied, how can you understand unless you receive the ability to do so? Sitting on the raised cemented base surrounding a huge banyan tree beside the Ganga in Kankal. I know many of us have been there. Rainier and I were there recently. She began responding to earnest and repeated questioning about her advent and spoke in an enchanting manner. There is so much to tell, but all is random. If indeed you want to know, then listen. This is Ma speaking now. About 2 or 3 months before the appearance of this body, Didi Ma used to have visions of numerous deities, gods, avatars, rishis, and munis, and ascetics. Didi Ma would welcome them with reverence and perform a varan, that's a ceremonial reception. In the early hours of a Friday, by Hindu reckoning a Thursday, in the month of Baisak, that's April, May, inside a thatched room, this body revealed herself, the head pointing toward the northeasterly direction. It's the most auspicious thing in the room. The body, as you perceive it, at the moment of touching the ground, lay on her back, slightly inclined to her left side. Through the gaps in the thatched roof, this body could see quite clearly the sky, branches, and leaves of a neem and a mango tree, just as I am seeing you now. So it was Ma, from the instant of her birth, had full grasp of her senses and didn't cry and sat and just looked at the trees. She's lying there. But it's interesting, there's no mention of her mother even being there. Well, let's continue. Excuse me. At that very moment, Kurima, that's the paternal aunt of Ma's grandmother, entered the room and picked her up. In other words, picked up Ma, the little baby, Ma. She was the only one. No one else was there. She alone knows of the arrival of the Supreme One, Prakasha. This is Ma's own words. That's in self-definition. Kurima was a very virtuous and devout woman, and about 60 years of age at that time. She lived to be quite old and passed away after this body was married. On that morning, an elderly Brahmin from the village came to the house. Grandmother carried this body in her arms and, sitting on bent knees at the door of the room, showed her to him. At that time, the Brahmin gave Ma the name Dakshayani. It means facing east. This body's head was then positioned toward the east. Looking up, she saw leaves and branches of trees and the sky. So those are Ma's words about this happening. It's kind of amazing. But let's read in an appendix now one of the Swamis of Ma's ashram has written a 2-page slide kind of commentary on this thing. He says, in a thatched hut in the small hamlet of Kiora, that's East Bengal, now Bangladesh, located in a remote corner of Eastern India in the early hours of May 1st, 1896, the omnipresent chose to be revealed upon this earth as Shri Shri Ma. As recorded in the book Swakriya Swarasamamrita, this is also some of Ma's words that's recorded in Bengali. The details about Sri Sri Ma's Prakash, that's her appearance, are given as follows. And I think this is just a summation from his reading the book. In the divine circumstances of Brahma Muhurta, that's 3 o'clock in the morning before dawn, when the yogis, rishis, and munis, sadhus, and sadhakas were busy in their spiritual pursuit, and nature was playing the primordial sound to the bamboo rushes behind the thatched room, the divine revealed herself, witnessed by the gods and goddesses. Now he lists 9 things that are interesting to notice. 1, there was no one in the thatched kitchen where Ma appeared, not even a midwife, nor was there need for anyone. Is this not surprising? Ma asked. This is Ma's own words. She said that. Number 2, Ma's great-grand aunt, who she called Korima, who used to live next door, came at that moment and picked Ma from the ground. There was no mention of Ma's mother, Didi Ma. So see, otherwise, it's very much like the Virgin Mary. Didi Ma was carrying Ma in her womb, but then Ma just passed through miraculously and just was in the next room, appearing on the floor. Go figure. Number 3, Sri Sri Ma's Prakash did not take place as a result of the union of those who she later referred to as her parents. 4, Ma had no umbilical cord. 5, we know a doctor who took care of Ma. He swore she didn't have a navel. Go figure. 5, Ma's father had not been present in Kyoto for 3 years because he would go off wandering with the sadhu singing bhajans. He was a very free soul. During Sri Ma's Prakash, there was no mention of him, not even at the naming ceremony, which takes place in the first few days. 6, in an Orthodox Brahmin family, it is unthinkable that a kitchen where Ma appeared would be used as the delivery room, particularly due to the traditional sense of ritual defilement associated with giving birth. In those days, a temporary hut used to be built next to the cowshed and used for delivering babies. This was considered to be auspicious as well as healthy and an antiseptic environment. Next door, Ma's great-grand aunt owned a number of cows, so arrangements could have been made there if there was a normal expected delivery case. 7, Ma did not cry at the time of her Prakash like newborn babies do. 8, Ma questions, quote, is it possible for a mother who has just given birth to carry the newborn in her arms, walk down 3 steps, then a further 12 yards to the Tulsi Munch and return the same way, unquote. He continues, one must consider the total lack of medical facilities in a far-flung remote village in Bengal at that time, more than 100 years ago. 9, Ma hints that she would always hear Didi Ma say, even in her childhood days, quote, everything is God's creation. He is in everything. He alone does and is capable of doing everything, unquote. So Didi Ma was always self-content in this firm belief. So we see that Ma's Prakash, her revelation, was not at all what we would call a normal birth. She had a supernatural body that was a manifest because of the longing of our hearts. And she just appeared and passed through the womb of Didi Ma and was this amazing child from day one. And we know also that it's very unusual. You can't compare these different manifestations of God, Christ, Sri Ramakrishna, the Buddha. They all have different aspects. But Ma was unique in that she never went through a period where she attained realization. She was that way when she opened her eyes as a child, in full control of her senses, a full manifestation of divinity. As she said in her own words, she was watching from omnipresent, infinite consciousness and just saw this baby on the floor and realized, okay, I'm supposed to manifest as this little baby for now, but she never lost that infant consciousness that she always had. So I think next in line, we're going to sing a quick kirtan. And Ma had several names at birth. But Anandamayi Ma, that phrase that we give her, we call her by, was given to her by Bhayaji. But her mother gave her the name Nirmala Sundari. Nirmala, Mala means a flaw, an imperfection, and Nirmala means without imperfection, means perfect without blemish. Sundari, the beautiful one. Your name is Nirmala Sundari Devi, the goddess with perfect, without blemish, without stain, without imperfection. So in this kirtan, we say, of course, Jaya Jaya Ma, thinking Ma's Jaya Mami's victory to Ma. Her victory is our enlightenment, our salvation. And we say this beautiful term, Nirmala Sundari Ma, Anandamayi, hey Ma, Anandamayi, overflowing with bliss. Jaya Ma, 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 Anandamayi Ma, Jaya Jaya Ma. Somebody's unmuted. Anandamayi Ma, Jaya Jaya Ma, Anandamayi Ma, Jaya Jaya Ma, 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 Anandamayi Ma, Jaya 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 Jaya Ma, Jaya Ma, Jaya Ma, Jaya Ma, Jaya Ma. Nirmala Sundari Ma, Anandamayi Ma, 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 Jaya 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 Ma, Anandamayi Ma, Jaya 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 Jaya Ma. Om Ma, 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 Anandamayi ma, Jaya Jaya ma. Anandamayi ma, Jaya Jaya ma. So Puggy, we have a video now.
भज मायानंदमयी जप मायानंदमयी लह मायानंदमयी नाम रे भज मायानंदमयी जप मायानंदमयी लह भज मायानंदमयी जप मायानंदमयी लह मायानंदमयी नाम रे भज मायानंदमयी जप मायानंदमयी लह भज रे जप रे भज रे जप रे अमर मधु माखा मारे नाम भज रे जप रे अमर सुधा माखा मारे नाम भज रे जप रे प्रभाते मारे नाम যদি যাবি সে ধাম মুখে পানো আবিরাম মামা 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 যে আনন্দ ধামে চলো আনন্দ ধামে চলো মামা মা বলে আনন্দ ধামে চলো মামা মা বলে আনন্দ ধামে চলো ভজ মায় আনন্দ মরি জপ মায় আনন্দ মরি লহ মায় আনন্দ মরি নাম রে ভজ মায় আনন্দ মরি জপ মায় আনন্দ মরি লহ মায় আনন্দ মরি নাম রে ভজ ভজ মায় আনন্দ মরি জপ মায় আনন্দ মরি লহ মায় আনন্দ মরি নাম রে ভজ মায় আনন্দ মরি জপ মায় আনন্দ মরি লহ মায় আনন্দ মরি नाम रे
जो भोजन करने से ये शरीर या हुआ कुछ नहीं कहे ये शरीर सीधा बात है जो खाने से पीने से और भगवान का तरफ जाने के लिए और सात्विक वृत्ति है वो भाव जागरण हो वही भोजन लेना चाहिए ये हुआ नहीं हम कैसे कुछ
প্রভাত সময়ে সচ্চিদানন্দের মাঝে গৌরচাঁদ নাচিয়া বেড়ায় রে প্রভাত সময়ে সচ্চিদানন্দের মাঝে গৌরচাঁদ নাচিয়া বেড়ায় রে জাগনি গো সচ্চি মাতা গৌরাইল প্রেম দাতা জাগনি গো সচ্চি মাতা গৌরাইল প্রেম দাতা জাগনি গো সচ্চি মাতা গৌরাইল প্রেম দাতা জাগনি গো সচ্চি माता गौराइलो प्रेम दाता घर घरे हरिर नाम बिलाए रे।
बात होता है ना जो इसको को ऐसा खाना इसको को ऐसा खाना इसको को ऐसा खाना ये शरीर देखती है इस सारा दिन का जो प्रोग्राम चल रहा ये हुआ औषध का डोज डोज कि सच बात है कि नहीं बोलो ठीक है कि नहीं।
भूला हुआ को सुधारो
কাজই করবার জন্য স্থান নির্দিষ্ট না করে প্রথম ভগবানকে পাওয়ার জন্য আমি চেষ্টা করব। আপনাকে পানা মানে ভগবান को पाना, भगवान को पाना মানে আপনি को पाना।
ডাকো মা 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 ডাকো মা 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 ডাকো মা 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 একবার মামা বলো রে, মামা বলো রে, শিশুর মতো কেঁদে কেঁদে মামা বলো রে, শিশুর মতো কেঁদে কেঁদে মামা বলো রে, মাঝে কোলে তুলে নাই রে, কোলে তুলে নাই রে, আকুল প্রাণে মা বলিলে কোলে তুলে নাই রে, আকুল প্রাণে মা বলিলে কোলে তুলে নাই রে, আমার আনন্দময়ী মা, আনন্দময়ী মা, এই আনন্দের প্রতিমা, আনন্দময়ী মা, আনন্দের প্রতিমা, আনন্দময়ী মা, এই আনন্দময়ী মা, আনন্দময়ী মা, আয় আনন্দময়ী মা, আনন্দময়ী মা, তার দয়ার নাই সীমা, আনন্দময়ী মা, দয়ার নাই সীমা, আনন্দময়ী মা, জয় জয় 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 মা।
So
If I can say real quickly, God, that was a treat, wasn't it? The elderly sannyasini, the lady in orange, was Ma's mother, Didi Ma. We saw several times, and you can see just it was so amazing just to watch Ma move. Ma was always had this graceful, flowing movement. There were times we would literally just sit and watch her walk. You know, she would be walking back and forth after lunch or something, and we'd kind of stand on the side and just watch her walk because it was just her movement. One of her names that her mother gave her was Gajaganga, which means the gait of an elephant, which is considered very complimentary in Indian thought. But she had this amazing gait and just her movement. Like I was one time sitting very close to her, and she was explaining something to somebody, and she was just moving her hands and expression, and there was something just supernatural about her movement, and it filled you with bliss just to watch her movement because it was a movement of freedom. She had no karma. So everything she did was an act of freedom, and it just reflected in her every movement, as we just saw, just the gracefulness of her movement. So that was just my word. Go ahead, Craigie, with your next
oh,
thing.
thank you. Jai Ma. Yeah, that is a new video that just appeared online in two sections. It's called, Memorable Moments with Ma, and it seems to be almost like a home movie from one family that was very close to Ma. So you can find that on YouTube, and the second one as well. So now we're going to read a reading of Ma's own words from a taped satsang that took place on Ma's birthday in 1978. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me well? Yes, good. So this is in Kankal, which is where Ma Samadhi is, where Ma is buried, about 4 years before she left her body. The questioner says, Ma, you always tell us to remain happy. We even delight in your talks. You are Anandamayi, the treasure of happiness. But when we return to our worldly life, the notions of pride, humiliation, misery, and suffering bother us and tease us. Why is this so? Please tell us so we can transcend these things. Shri Ma starts laughing. Jana nivash vaha kavash. Wherever you dwell, you pick up those vibrations. This is a Hindi saying. The awakening in the mind occurs according to the state in which one lives. The action inside goes according to the situation. All these things are connected with that inside kriya or action. You want to know the remedy? How well all these great Mahatmas and scholars like the Mahamandaleshwar have spoken about all these things. They have explained in various ways and given you several methods for removing these miseries. Now you ask this body, why is this so? If you have a genuine desire to achieve God or to remove all these miseries, you will listen to these people with all concentration. Then even a single word caught by you from their sermon will lead you on the way where you will have all happiness. Your mind desires to be plunged in Vishaya Sampad, the river of worldly pleasures. It doesn't want to come out of there. You say, I will sing songs to God, but first let me be well established, settle down in the river of worldly pleasures. Once I'm well settled, I shall engage myself in God. But it is always risky to ride two boats simultaneously. You will fall out if you keep your legs in two different boats and try to swim across the river in them, to cross the river in them. Take one boat, sit firmly in it, and then row. You will achieve your aim. Then what should you do? God has created this world. Even your body is created by him. So always keep him in your mind. Oh God, this is the body given by you, created by you. In this Mano Raja, this kingdom of the mind, you get ideas in your mind according to the state you are in, but you never get proper happiness. Why? Because in the state in which you are, pleasure is mixed with pain. You are in dvandva, duality, and this dukkha, suffering, is the result of this dvandva. Ananda is pure happiness, not mixed with any pain. You can get it only when you are above this state of dvandva. As long as you have duality in your mind, you will not be able to avoid dukkha. What is this duality? You think of pain, of sin and merit, good and bad, honor and humiliation, likings and dislikings, etc. Until you are above them, you will face suffering. You will have to bear them as long as you are in this Vishaya Sampad, river of worldly pleasures. All these things dwell in Vishaya, and you are dwelling in that Vishaya. Then there's no way out, just as one who is in the water must face fish and other aquatic creatures. You attend these satsangs only to become near Vishaya, without worldly desires, to rise above these passions. If you try with an object in your mind and you have a keen desire to achieve it, God will certainly open the way for you to advance further. But for that, there should be a genuine desire. So what should you do? You should attend satsang regularly and follow what these Mahatmas say. These Mahatmas have said, and this body has said also many times, Koi samai bandlo, bind yourself to God. Fix a time for everything. Why this binding? Because you are in bondage. The jiva is the soul in bondage, and this situation requires that you should bind your senses. You cannot rise above bondage without being bound. You cannot be beyond bondage without getting into bondage. For example, your body is dirty. You want to clean it. What do? You apply soap. The acid in the soap eats out the dirt on your body. But to clean it, you must also remove the soap with fresh water. In the same way, to purify the senses, apply the soap of discipline and then wash it down with the fresh water of devotion. If you do that, your senses will be purified, yourself will be freed, and you will move ahead on the spiritual path. Only binding yourself to practices, for example, restraining the senses, will not suffice, just as only applying soap does not. The soap must also be washed off so that the clean body will be revealed. Similarly, to reveal the pure self, which is within, you should apply the soap of binding and wash it off with devotion. That is why it is said that one should do japa and dhyanam, meditation, and should remember him all the time. Jai Ma. You're muted.
Okay, that better?
Yes.
Yeah, it's wonderful watching Ma do kirtan. Kirtan was a very important part of her Leela. She would always, when we were traveling with her in the evenings, she'd always say, don't sit idly, sing kirtan. She'd have someone sing kirtan always. So we want to share something here. It's an eternal hymn to Ma. And we talked about Bhayaji earlier, Jyotish Chandra Roy, who was one of her earliest disciples and just so devoted to her. He had an incredible end also. And he was doing, he was a householder. He was one time doing his evening meditation in the middle of the night. He was sitting in meditation and he heard this hymn. He said he didn't write it himself. He heard it vibrating in the universe. So he wrote it down and he put it to a raga, which we'll sing it in. And he brought it to Ma, and Ma said, this is something real. You should sing this in the ashram from now on. And so now it's from that time until this day, in all of Ma's ashrams, including our Ma Sharanam ashram in India, in Madhya Pradesh, we sing this every night during the arati. And it's a beautiful hymn. It starts with a meditation on Ma's form, and then it goes into the actual bhajan. And we have the words, we'll put them on the screen. Unfortunately, I don't think we have the whole, we found out at the last minute, we don't have the whole second half of it, but we'll see what we see. But this is always sung in Ma's ashram. And when we traveled, the years I was traveling with Ma in 73, 74, Ma constantly moves. So we'd be in different places frequently, but wherever we are, we meet with Ma at night and she would sit and give darshan and sometimes talk something. And we'd always sing this hymn in front of her. At the end, it says, Mora mili prani prani pranami Sri Charane Jaya 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 Ma. It says, with all my heart and soul, we take our whole prana, our life force, and we bow at Ma's feet and we say Jaya Jaya Ma and bow before Ma. So whenever I sing this, I still see Ma sitting there in front of us. So Patricia, can you put the words on the screen? I hope people can see that. Maybe get closer to your computer. Okay. And we start with what's called the Matri Dhyan. It's meditation on Ma's form. You can see the translation there. That's the important thing, is to see kind of what we're singing here. Shri Shri Anandamayi Mata Ki Jai. Om Vritta Sahaja Samadhi Vipratim Makantim Nayana Sarasabhya. Sorry, I've got to get the screen better. I can see. Om Vritta Sahaja Samadhi Vipratim Makantim Nayana Sarasabhyam Sneharashin Karantim Manasi Kalata Bhaktim Bhaktamanandayantim Smrita Jita Sharadindu Mataram Dhimahiha Tapana Shakala Kalpam Kalpavrikshopamanam Sharanagata Janana Tarakam Klesha Pasha Hridaya Kamala Madhye Stapayadve Hamatu Vihita Vivita Kalpam Padapitam Bhajami Shri Padapitam Smarami Shri Padapitam Namami Jaya Hridaya Vasini Shuddha Sanatani Shri Anandamayi Ma Om Bhuvana Ujjvala Janani Nirmala Punya Vista Tarini Ma O Maharaj Rajeshwari Swaha Swadha Gauri Pranavarupini Ma Oma Somya Somya Tara Satya Manohara Purna Bharat Para Ma Omara Vishashi Kundala Mahavyoma Kundala Vishwarupini Ma Oma Ishvarya Bhatima Madhurya Pratima Mahima Mandita Ma Oma Rama Manorama Shanti Shantakshama Sarvadeva Mai Ma Oma Sukada Varda Bhakti Jnanada Kevaya Daini Ma Oma Vishwa Prasavani Vishwa Bhalini Vishwa Sanharini Ma Oma Bhakta Prana Rupa Murti Mati Kripa Trilokatarini Ma Oma Karya Karana Bhuta Bheda Bheda Tita Parama Devata Oma Vidya Vinodini Yogi Janaranjani Bhava Bhaya Banjini Ma Oma Mantra Bijatmika Veda Prakashika Nikili Vyapika Ma Oma Saguna Sarupa Nirguna Nirupa Mahabhava Mai Ma Oma Mugda Chara Chara Gahindirantara Tava Guna Madhuri Ma Murameli Prane Prane Mako Pranami Shri Charane Jaya 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 Ma Murameli Prane Prane Mako Pranami Shri Charane Jaya 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 Ma Murameli Prane Prane Mako Pranami Shri Charane Jaya 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 Ma Shri Shri Anandamayi Mata Ki Jai.
Thank you so much, Mangalanandaji. That's my favorite thing to sing on Ma's birthday. I really, really love that. Can I just say that I think in order to have time to do both the Pada Puja and the Arti, we should probably move on to that now.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Yes. Okay, so let's quickly set up for that.
So we're in a good situation where we have a split screen, so you'll be able to see first the Pada Puja, where we're offering flower petals to Ma. And if you have petals in your house, flowers that you would like to offer, you'll see we're going to offer 108 times, and Mangalanandaji will lead us with mantra to do that. And then after that, we'll be moving into the Arti.
Now, when we make offerings, we have what's called in the yogic tradition, we have what's called mudra. Mudra is a positioning of the hand, which affects both the mind and the body. And the mudra for offering is like this. If you're from Texas, this is hook'em horns. So it's these two middle fingers in like this. It's the same mudra we use for turning a japamala. So you have a japamala, you turn like this. It affects the mind. So when you're offering anything, whether it's seeds into the oven fire or whatever, you pick it up with these three fingers, the two middle fingers, and you offer it like that. So when we pick up flowers, you pick up the flowers like this, and we offer them, we say this. So if you have flowers at home, please offer with us at your shrine. If you don't have flowers, no problem. Offer, and we're going to do this 108 times. I'm going to count. And every offering, we're going to say, Om Ma Sharanam Om Ma. Sharanam, as we know, means a place of refuge, a place of strength and inner peace. So Ma is our refuge. So we're saying, Om Ma Sharanam Om Ma, and offering flowers. So every time we do this, just try to offer your whole heart and soul to Ma, who's, as we've seen now, Ma has come here only for us. And she's opened this portal into the infinite through her being. So in this, we show our gratitude and our heart's love by offering these flowers. And we have here on the altar Ma's Paduka, the very sandals that she wore in her physical feet. So we have these sandals that Ma wore, which we'll offer the roses on. And as we see, Ma never asked, to be worshipped or praised or anything. We see in the video, people are offering flowers and doing lights in front of her. She was just like a little girl. She just accepted anything. She accepted the love of the devotees in any way that we offered them. So it was the devotees' bhava, their devotees' feeling to always offer worship to Ma, but Ma just always just sat and accepted and didn't demand anything. So she always, we see this time and time again, she accepts what we offer. So know that as we offer each handful of flowers, Ma is there accepting it. Om Ma Sharanam Om Ma. 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 Om Ma Sharanam, 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 Om Ma. Om Ma Sharanam 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 Om Ma. And all the rest of the flowers in one last one. Om Ma Sharanam Om Ma. Om Ma Sharanam. Shri Shri Anandamayi Ma Ki Jai.
Yay!
This hymn we're going to sing while the arati is done, the waving of the lights, which represent both our five senses. This 5 lights represents our 5 senses we're offering to the divine, and also the 5 elements, the 5, all numbers of 5 we're offering up to the divine. And you'll see the words. I think you'll get to the words. This hymn is also another revealed hymn that it was from our Swami Kedarnath, who runs the ashram in Indo-Omkareshwar, where I lived for 12 years. He said after Ma left her body in 1982, he went into silence for like 2 or 3 years. And several things happened when he was just drawn in silence, and he wrote several books during that time. And at one point, the same thing happened to him. In the middle of the night, this hymn just came to him and he wrote it down. He also said he didn't write it himself. So it's also another eternal praise to Ma. Tell me when you're ready, Pragya, we'll start.
We're ready. Patricia will be doing the RT and I'll be ringing the bell. I'm sorry, we do not have the words. We didn't have.
Well, we can't see everything.
Yeah. We can't see everything. We decided to go for this.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Jaya Ambe Gauri Maiya, Jaya Mangala Murti Maiya, Jaya Ambe Gauri Maiya, Purna Brahma Narayani, Pranavakshara Rupa, Brahma Narayani, Pranavakshara Rupa, Nirmala Sundari Shodashi Lalita, Nirmala Sundari Shodashi Lalita, Rupa Achintya Anupa, Jayambe Gauri Maiya, Jaya Mangala Murti Maiya, Jaya Ambe Gauri Maiya, Chiddavadana Chiddavasana Mahi, Chiddabhushan Dhari, Chiddavadana Chiddavasana Mahi, Chiddabhushan Dhari, निज महिमा में सदा विराजे, निज महिमा में सदा विराजे, भासे भासम जारी। जय अम्बे गौरी मैया, जय मंगल मूर्ति मैया, जय अम्बे गौरी मैया। मलनाशिनी भवतारिणी, सद्गुरु महारानी, मलनाशिनी भवतारिणी, सद्गुरु महारानी। इति अरुणैतिता नहीं पावे, इति अरुणैतिता नहीं पावे, दोनों सात सिरहानी। जय अम्बे गौरी मैया, जय मंगल मूर्ति मैया, जय अम्बे गौरी मैया। अशरण शरण प्रदायिनी, विषयासक्ति हरा, अशरण शरण प्रदायिनी, विषयासक्ति हरा। सहज स्वरूप समाधि निमग्ना, सहज स्वरूप समाधि निमग्ना, विद्या ब्रह्मपुरा। जय अम्बे गौरी मैया, जय मंगल मूर्ति मैया, जय अम्बे गौरी मैया। साधक सिद्ध समाश्रिता, सकल देव जननी, साधक सिद्ध समाश्रिता, सकल देव जननी। विश्वमयी है विश्वातीता, विश्वमयी है विश्वातीता, अगम अगोचर धरणी। जय अम्बे गौरी मैया, जय मंगल मूर्ति मैया, जय अम्बे गौरी मैया। संयम भात सिखावनी, हे जग कल्याणी, संयम भात सिखावनी, हे जग कल्याणी। प्रेम ज्ञान मर्यादा मूर्ति, प्रेम ज्ञान मर्यादा मूर्ति, सुमिरत अगहानी। जय अम्बे गौरी मैया, जय मंगल मूर्ति मैया, जय अम्बे गौरी मैया। क्रीड़ा कौतुक में सब भारी, लीला अति न्यारी, क्रीड़ा कौतुक में सब भारी, लीला अति न्यारी। आनंदमयी माँ आनंद करनी, आनंदमयी माँ आनंद करनी, मुहुर मुहुर बलिहारी। जय अम्बे गौरी मैया, जय मंगल मूर्ति मैया, जय अम्बे गौरी मैया। दो कर जोर करे तव विनती, मातु कृपा कीजय। दो कर जोर करत Sadhu Kripa Kijay, Karunamai Karunakara Amba, Karunamai Karunakara Amba, Apana Karani Jai, Jaya Ambe Gauri Maya, Jaya Mangala Murti Maya, Jaya Ambe Gauri Maya. Shri Shri Anandamayi Mata Ki Jai. So closing mantras. Do you want to make announcements and then we do closing mantras?
Well, I think our big announcement is we have our satsang coming up in, I think, 3 weeks from today, on the third Sunday of May.
Yeah. So it's the same link as you joined this meeting with, and in those satsangs, we like to stress the community of Anandamayi Ma, how we're all a part of Ma's very body. And so we like to introduce everyone who's here, everyone introduce himself, and we have more interaction. And after we read Ma's words, we have a discussion, those of you who haven't been. So everyone's welcome to that also. So we can be here to help each other, support each other, and learn more about Ma and from Ma. And
Yes.
We're very grateful for all of you joining us and offering Ma the devotion of our hearts together in this community of Anandamayi Ma.
Yes, thank you so much for being with us today. And, you know, as Ma said in the reading today, in her own words, the most important thing is to attend satsang, to be in the presence of other devotees, of other like-minded hearts. So we really welcome you to come. If you are not on our mailing list, please put in the chat, if you would, right now, your email, and then we can add you to the list and you'll get our announcements. Okay, Jai Ma, thank you, Mangalanandaji. Thank you to Patricia. Thank you to Ted for helping. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
And during these crazy times we're in now, I think our satsangs are even more important because we are all interconnected. Everyone is a part of everyone else. And these terrible times we're in with this insane war going on and the suffering in the world right now, that's affecting all of us. That is affecting the common consciousness, which we all share. And on our side, when we do our practice, when we sing the name of God, when we have satsang like this, we remember Ma, this is doing our part to counterbalance that. We are putting waves of beauty and light and peace into the air, and it will be felt, and it will be part of the whole balance of life. So it's important more at this time to do our practice for the good of the world. So we'll do our closing mantras. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhaved. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering. May all look to the good of others. May all experience the unity of life. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya, Aviravir Medhi. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. This is fullness which proceeds from that divine fullness. When fullness comes from fullness, yet only fullness remains. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Shri Anandamayi Mata Ki Jai. Apne apne Satgurudev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Om Namaha Parvati Patye. Hara Hara Mahadev. Jai Ma to everyone.
Jai Ma.
You want to unmute and say goodbye on the, you can go on
Can you get us on gallery view?
galley view. We can see everybody.
So grateful to you both for all that you've done to create this, to bring our pujas into our homes, to share with everyone. Thank you so much.
Good to see you, Shaman. Good to see everyone. Look at this. It's so nice. I can't even fit on one page anymore. Look at that.
Just trying to, we need to undo the spotlights.
Thank you, everyone.
Jai Ma, Prajna Didi.
The upper right.
This is Amar Bhai.
Thank you. Thank you, Jai Ma.
Thank you,
Jai Ma.
everyone.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, everyone. Ooh, look at Gulshan. He's in a suit.
The suit, yes.
So beautiful to see you all.
Yes,
Thank you.
really, truly. Everyone's face here.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Jai Ma.
Yes.
Here's how you in Germany.
Thank you, everyone,
screen
Pragya and Mangalananda,
screen
and
test.
everyone for this puja. Again, bringing into our homes, like Julie said, so beautiful,
bottom.
so
Yeah, to the
auspicious.
So
Beautiful.
beautiful.
Jai Ma, thank you, Renu, everyone,
Jai Ma.
everyone's present.
Thank you, Renu. Thank you,
Thank
Pragya.
you.
Thank you,
Here's our,
Ananda, Gloria.
Oh, it's so good to finally see you all.
It's hard to leave.
I know. I
I've
know.
got to select this red button that says leave. The energy and the bliss is so
We'll
lovely.
see each
do
other
it.
in 3
Don't
weeks.
do it.
3 weeks.
Don't click the red button. Just
Okay, I'll wait for you. Wait for you to leave
I don't
first.
know.
Bye, Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma.
Jai
So
Ma.
much love to everyone.
Gloria.
So much
Love to everyone.
Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.
Thank
Ma.
you. Go now, David.
Yeah. Jai Ma, love you all.